Mr. Swift, what's going on, brother?
Good
Tom?
morning. Good morning.
Oh, you sound like a hunk, man.
It sound like what?
Like a hunk, man.
Oh, okay. I was like, are you saying there's a problem with my mic, or you had me for a second? I was confused. I was confused.
No, that was a compliment. I'm like, hey, what's this guy got to say?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. How you doing this morning?
I'm feeling good, man. Went to a new pizza place last night. All was well. Went did Given Tuesday. I saw our boy Swift Soar was out and about, so he's out there making an impact on Given Tuesday. Brian, what are you up to there? You're trying to get dogs for people. What do you got going on?
Well, one of the new programs that SOAR has is, trying to help pay for service dogs. They're just so expensive, and the help they give. I mean, I'm talking real service dogs, not some of these, you know, emotional support dogs that people have bombarded society with, and say, I need to have my 7 pound rat with me and whatnot. I'm talking about full blown service dogs that really service the people that need them. So too many fakes out there. They're making it tough for people who really need them, dragging them in and out of everywhere. So we're just trying to support the real dog, the real service dog community. So that's one of our new ventures with SOAR. Just looking into the new year, we try to pick, maybe something to do a little more focus on. So thank you.
Hey, brother. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was people doing good jobs. So you're doing good work out in the nonprofit community, trying to get those what is CNI dog, not CNI dog, service dog. So trying to get service dogs to people in need. I saw Brian's dog when I was at Brian's house. And would you consider the dog that you had when I was there a service dog, Brian? He had like a golden retriever or something. Brian, would you consider that a service dog?
Yeah. He went through certification. He spent a year and a half in Florida, going through a service dog program, and then they spend like the last 6 months getting orientated with you and yours if you have any specific needs. So Einstein, his name was Einstein. Yeah, he was amazing. Unfortunately, he's passed, but uh, what he could do in his temperament, and he had this intuitiveness that knew, if I was in pain or certain things. They're just amazing. So yeah, he was a full blown service dog.
Got it, brother. The reason it was cool because when I was at Brian's house, I saw this dog pick up a remote control and take it across the floor, the room to Brian, and then it would throw stuff in the garbage can for him. He'd like give it a can. He'd give it a can, and it would take like a soda can over to the garbage. So anyway, we're going to talk about people doing a good job. So in my mind, Tom, I was thinking about Julie building community. I was thinking about John Jay being able to share his message the way he does and be syndicated in so many markets. Dr. Tachi building a media empire, you with legendeering. So I wanted to go through today, my hope, and talk about people that are doing good jobs and see what we could glean. Is glean a word that glean, is it gleam or glean? I think it's glean.
Glean with an N. Yeah,
Yeah.
glean.
And what we could glean from these people doing a good job. So you want to start, Tom? Pick anybody. It could be Mr. Beast. And you're like, well, this dude, he's got a media empire. He's doing a lot of great nonprofit work. People think he's goofy if they don't know, but he planted 1 million trees and he gives a lot of money away. That's a good dude.
Yeah, I mean, there's no arguing that Mr. Beast does well, right? Like does good in the world, and has done well for himself doing good, right? I think Mr. Beast is a good example of the fact that doing good can also be profitable, right? I mean, he's built a business. Like, don't get it mistaken. He's got a full-scale production team. He's got a production company that he funds through these projects that are sponsored by large corporations, and he makes good money doing it, right? And does good at the same time. So I think he's a good example that doing good can also be profitable. I think, there are tons of examples of that, right? Like Bombas Socks is a good one, right? Bombas Socks has a mission. They're a sock company, and they were started predicated on a mission, and the mission was to provide the most requested item for homeless people, to help the homeless population and the unhoused. The most requested item in homeless shelters are socks. And they found that out. And after finding that out, they founded the company Bombas Socks to help fill that need. So what do? They sell really good socks. And then for every pair of socks they sell, they have a separate line of socks that they've designed that they figured out how to manufacture cost effectively. And they give socks away. Every pair they sell, they give a pair away to help people in need. Right. And it's a very clear example of how you can take a for-profit, kind of standard consumer good company and actually do some good with it. There's, other companies like Cotopaxi, which is another clothing manufacturer. They have a mission to make all of their goods sustainably. They have some wild color combinations of goods that they use, and that's because the materials they use come largely from offcuts. So instead of, so like the larger manufacturers of these kinds of clothing, right, will take, kind of first pass, and then they're like leftover pieces of fabric, but they're large. There's a lot of them. You can get parts of clothes out of them. So rather than having a solid color jacket, you get a jacket that's got 3 colors, right? So that's basically like, their mission. And then the other thing that they do is they only manufacture in facilities that pay fair living wages. So that's Cotopaxi is another good example of a company that's doing good. And I'm not 100% sure if they're a now it flew out of my head. Help me out, Dom. A company that has a social impact mission as well that's coupled with it. There's a specific a B Corp. That's right, a benefit company. That's what it is. So I'm not sure. I think they're a certified B Corp, or they were founded
or something.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud. I remember hearing an interview with the guy who founded Cotopaxi, and I think he started it as a certified B Corp, which is rare. Most businesses kind of work towards getting B Corp status. And the B in that stands for benefit. So it's a certified benefit corporation. And the idea is that you're a for-profit company, but you are, as part of your mission and your stated goal as an organization, is not just to drive profits, but also to drive benefit for communities that you interact with. And so I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that Cotopaxi was actually started as a certified B Corp. Which is there you go. Tom Shoes, Warby Parker, other examples of companies like that. And I like the B Corp model. I'm particularly a big fan of it because I believe, and this is not a slight on nonprofits. I work with nonprofits too. I support nonprofits. I love nonprofits, right? This is not a slight on nonprofits, but we've been fed this sort of this lie, right? That for-profits are for-profit and nonprofits have to make do with scraps to do good in the world, right? And I think that's a load of crap. I think that for-profits can do just as much, if not more good than nonprofits, and we don't really need to separate the two, right? I think businesses should do good for their communities, period, end of story. Right. And I think that this whole idea that we have to sort of separate the two, and for-profits are one thing, and we shouldn't have an expectation that they do good, And we leave that expectation to nonprofits, who often have to like kind of subsist on scraps and barely get by, right? I mean, how many nonprofits do? I'm sure everybody in this room knows a ton of nonprofits that have folded up or stopped operating or been unable to meet their goals because they couldn't get enough funding, right? I mean, it's sort of the story of every sort of small scale nonprofit is a story of struggling to just barely get by, right? To do the most you can with like the smallest amount possible, and I don't see any reason why we have to believe that. Like, I don't see any reason why that has to be true. That for-profit companies can't do the same work that nonprofits do in our communities, right? Like, I just think that it's the we've been fed this line, and the tax structure and the financial structure is set up to kind of keep them separate. But again, I think we can. I don't think they have to be at all. And I think companies like Cotopaxi and Bombas Socks and Tom Shoes and Warby Parker, are good examples that old model is an old model, and we can move past it and put better expectations, raise the bar for businesses, right? Put better expectations on them and hold them to it. So that's what I think.
All
I'm
right,
not
let's
sure
do
how I
it,
got
Tom.
there, but
It's all right, man. So not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every Wednesday. Welcome all. Dragon, Debbie, Simon, Dominic, Paul, Carrie, Dr. Tachi, Julie, and John. Brian Swift, man. So what the thought process is a business you admire, somebody out there you admire, something they're doing good, something that you want to duplicate, whether it's their passion or their nonprofit status or C status or that, hey, I want to duplicate the way Julie has this massive email list. So we'll I don't think we heard from Brian on that, and then we're going to go to John and Julie. So Brian, somebody out there that you see something they're doing and you'd want to duplicate it in your business or in your message sharing, something like that.
Well, thank you, man. There's so many people. There's a lot of businesses out there that I aspire to get to that level of helping more people. That's the whole idea of, for me, starting a business is to help those not as fortunate where there's a need. So there's a couple in the neighborhood. They're in their 70s, and they collect bikes, and they fix them up and then donate them back to different charities, different lot. They go into the city and just hand out bikes. They've probably in 5 years, done like 5,000 bikes, and now a lot of people know they do these bikes. So, if bikes are found, people know where to bring them. And I look at that, and here's a couple that are making such a difference in a kid's life. Just imagine a kid whose family can't afford a bike and getting a bike. To me, I mean, affecting that, that young child or teen or kid. It's just a wonderful thing, and they I've met them. We've helped support them, and they just do amazing things. And up until they've been doing this for about, I don't know, 7 years, and up until last year, that finally somebody got a hold of the newspaper and said, these are the people that need to be recognized. There's so many people out there doing good things that aren't recognized, and not that they do it for the recognition, but there's, it's that grassroots person that does so much, and not that it's just them. I think there's a lot of people in the media that do a lot of great things that go unrecognized, and I think we should start recognizing them, not for the recognition's sake, but for the sake of sharing good and sharing the fact that there are really good people out there doing things just because they want to make a difference. We're so quick to share other things, controversial things that are somewhat true, some made up or exaggerated. We need to exaggerate the good. We need to show more of the good, from the grassroots things all the way up. I'm complete.
Right on, Swifty. You're doing it, brother. Keep up the good work. All right, let's do this live. We put live in the room. I'm reading, and it says live. Yeah, for all you people out in the out in the lobby, it says live, and it is live. Okay, John Jay, somebody out there doing something you admire, whether it's email list, whether it's like you not putting names of people in titles because you see that, oh, that's not about the listener. What is it? Just and if it's the tip we can all use, that would be good, man. Go on. What do you got?
Well, first of all, I got to say this, Brian. There's three resources you should check into. One is Paws and Stripes College, which is run by the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, where they teach inmates how to train dogs, and some of these dogs become service dogs. Most of them are just therapy dogs, but phenomenal program. I've had them on my show many years ago. Another one is Big Dog Ranch Rescue. They take rescue dogs also, and they train them to be service dogs for veterans and first responders, which is they do phenomenal work. And lastly, my wife was a trainer for New Horizons service dogs here in Florida. So they do Goldens and they do all kinds of high end service dogs. So some people that I really respect that, first of all, I found that when I talk with nonprofits, when I talk with charities that do great things, I put many on my show and give them a national platform on the radio and then the podcast and everything, social media, all that goes with it. But they all say the same thing that fundraising is the other F word. That's what they all say. It's a nonstop thing, and they can't rely just on grants and everything else and grant writing because that's not enough to support what they do. So what I try to do is I try to provide a platform for them to get their story out there, and it's got to have a story first. It can't just be about what they do, and because that's where the magic happens. Secondly, what I would say is the people that I respect the most. There was a guy here in South Florida called kind of like what Brian said, Bill's Bikes. He repaired bicycles, and every year at Christmas time, he would take bicycles that he repaired and he rehabilitated and donate them to people who couldn't afford bicycles for kids. I have a tremendous respect for what they do. The other one, I can't recall her name, was I'm gonna call her Sister Hazel. Oh, that's the name of the band in Gainesville. She fed, and her organization fed thousands of people every year, doing phenomenal work. And they had a little kitchen. They fed people nonstop. The last thing I'll say is we never hear about them. Uh, if you're a podcaster, if you've got any kind of outlet, you've got an opportunity to put their name out there, what they do. We never hear about them in national news. We hear about protests for this, that, or whatever it might be. But people do great things you never hear about. You hear about serial killers, you hear about terrorists, you hear about their manifestos, their reasons, all that stuff. Well, we have the ability to start putting their message out there. And that's what I would challenge everybody to do. What better way to give back by giving a platform for someone else to get some exposure that does great things to help people?
I totally agree, John. I think it's great. It's great that you're able to do that. It's great that you're able to provide a platform for organizations to help draw attention to the work that they're doing, to share stories, and to help them fundraise. The other F word. I like that. And I totally agree. I mean, I think that's that's kind of what I was speaking to earlier. That this idea that nonprofits kind of have to barely get by. They have to struggle to get by. Um, and I think it's a product of, again, I think it's a product of this lie that nonprofits have to sort of subsist on donations, and for profits shouldn't be expected to do the work that nonprofits do. And there's even like some push when I've gotten pushback from people.
No.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, no worries, Brian.
I'm talking to the dog.
Oh yeah, no worries. Hey, you gotta set boundaries for dogs, for sure. I got 3 of them. Trust me, I know. But but yeah, I mean, I think there's this. I've even gotten pushback from people when I'm talking about where I think we should blur this line between for profits and nonprofits, right? I've gotten pushback from people in the nonprofit community saying, well, you're going to put us out of business. And I'm like, well, isn't that a good thing? Like, wouldn't it be a good thing if we didn't have to have nonprofits doing the social work because businesses were pulling their weight, right? Because businesses were doing the right thing and not just the profitable thing all the time, right? And I think there's a way to do both. And I talked about, like I said before with Mr. Beast, I actually know two guys. He put a video out recently where he drilled a whole bunch of wells in Africa for villages. I know two of the guys that went and filmed that with him, right? Two of the guys that did that produced and filmed that series with him, or that video with him, that episode on his channel. I know two of the guys that went and did it. They used to work with me on the Coast Guard show that I was the series producer of, right? Back in the day. Like that's the level of people that he's hiring. The same people that we were hiring to produce network television, he's hiring and employing to produce video content for YouTube, right? There is a way to do both, right? There is a way, and I think we should push in that direction. I think that's the answer, right? I think is to treat the problem, which is this dichotomy between for-profit and nonprofit. I think that's the problem, rather than just sort of band-aiding the symptom, which is what we do with nonprofits. And part of the reason why nonprofits are always struggling and always, bombarded with a need for the other F word, fundraising, right? So I think we push it in that direction. Like who else? I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Dom? Should we push it in that direction? I mean, that's where I think we should go. What do you think?
Hey man, I always hope to live in a world where I can pay my bills and help more people. I think you can't go wrong with that. Why can't you do both? And so I want people to fulfill their wildest dreams, and on their way to fulfilling their wildest dreams, whether that's fishing in the Caribbean or hang gliding, whatever is expensive. I mean, then we'll help some other people along the way too. So, all right, let's go on. Swifty, what do you got?
Let me jump in, Tom. I agree with you, and I think there probably are more big businesses that do philanthropic work that should be recognized for that, because I think we've stigmatized big businesses to some degree, when it's just about the profits and maybe don't show the good they do. And I think there's a difference in some of the nonprofits, small ones like mine, that are still active after 8 years without anybody getting paid, versus the ones that maybe started small, but now you're seeing that they are getting millions of dollars of funding, and it's easy for them to thrive because of two reasons. One, they're getting millions of dollars of funding because everybody's jumped on their bandwagon, and two, the money that's coming in certainly isn't proportionately going out. I mean, you could name probably most of the huge nonprofits, Heart Association, a lot of your veteran associations, Cancer Association, a lot of those where you've got people making hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, in these nonprofits that I just find unacceptable. If you're a nonprofit, to be making that kind of money and claiming nonprofit status, but being able to walk away with seven digit checks. Unfortunately, you're right, though. It is the small ones like ours that you do struggle. That F word, I mean, funding is a blood sport. Trying to raise funds is a blood sport, and I wish it wasn't, and could get hooked up with a for-profit and create that same type of atmosphere. I think there is a way of meshing those. So I hope that happens. I mean, I agree with you. There's got to be a way to do more meshing.
I mean, I think, Brian, I don't think it's a stigmatizing of big business, right? I think it's explicit in the formation of most of these companies. And I'm going to push you to Milton Friedman and his theory of economics, right? And I'm going to read to you his theory of business ethics, right? This is what and the Milton Friedman kind of school of economics is what has driven U.S. economic policy and business in the U.S. for the last 50 years, right? Since the late 1970s, early 80s, right? So 45 years, I should say, I guess. But basically, his theory of business ethic states, quote, an entity's greatest responsibility lies in the satisfaction of the shareholders, right? It is explicit in the motivation for for-profit companies that they are there to make money, period, end of story. And I think that whole theory is a load of BS. And fundamentally, the issue that we're sort of getting at with this separation between for-profit and nonprofit, right? And I think that's, when we really drill down, that's the ultimate problem, right? Is that businesses believe that their greatest responsibility, and the economic system as it stands today reinforces this, that the greatest responsibility lies in the satisfaction of the shareholders. And that's not, I don't believe that should be the case, right? That should be the belief of businesses. The greatest responsibility for a business should lie in service to its customer base, right? Its supporters, right? Its community. That's what I think it should be. I don't think it should be. And I think that will drive profitability for the business. But that's what I think. That's kind of where I think we run into problems. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Dom? Should we jump down to Julie? Is Julie up next on your list, or who's next?
We're too serious. I have enough. I have enough seriousness in my life. We must continue.
Are you okay? So you don't want me to quote Milton Friedman?
No Milton Friedman. No. We are going to get tips and not change the world today. Well, you could change the world one by one smile at a time.
I mean, we got to start somewhere, man.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, why am I being so limiting? Julie, give me some positive vibes. Julie, this is the one time I want your vanilla ice. What do you got?
OMG, that was really like Milton Friedman or vanilla ice. Like, tell me in the chat who you'd rather listen to.
Yes, that's what we want. Vote. I want to vote. Clap your mic. Do we want Milton Friedman or do we want vanilla ice?
Hold on.
One in the chat for Milton Friedman, 2 for vanilla ice.
I quoted Milton Friedman in a negative way. I was not saying we should listen to Milton Friedman. I'm saying we should throw it away, just to be clear. And I agree that we should also throw away vanilla ice. Thanks.
Hey, Dr. Tachi just voted for Milton Friedman over vanilla ice. So, okay. Yeah, see,
no, Julie, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you. I'm going to do it.
Okay, let's see.
I told her.
Okay,
I warned her. I told her I was going to mute her.
He did mute me.
Hey,
little.
How are you able to mute
Thomas?
People? How are you able to mute people?
What do you mean? I'm a moderator. I can mute people.
I thought I tried to.
He muted me. I played one riff of Vanilla Ice, and I.
Julie,
we're live streaming this on the internet. We can't be playing commercial music, so there's that.
Julie, give us a tip.
That's his excuse, but he can
business tip right now.
Who wants to back me up? John, you want to back me up? Dr. Tachi, you want to back me up? We can't play commercial music.
Yeah, that's your team.
Play commercial music.
You can play. You can play a clip like.
You can get sued by. You're a lawyer. You were a lawyer.
But I'm giving all props to Vanilla Ice. I don't own it, and I'm not making money off of it.
Oh my gosh!
Don't run it on live streams.
Did you say I do not own this music? That's the first thing I teach people against because it doesn't work. It just shows that you used it knowing you didn't own it.
OMG.
Okay, so
Vanilla Ice. But anyway, look at how the energy is just skyrocketed.
Okay,
I'm second guessing my relationship with you, Julie, because you're officially a convict.
OMG. No, I played less than 10 seconds.
That isn't a rule, though.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just to be clear, the law is that if it is recognizable, so you could just play the dun dun dun, and if somebody can guess what song it is, that's enough.
But I'm not making any profit off of it, but maybe you guys are. So let's move on.
Exactly.
All right.
Hey, me. I've never had so many people so angry at me.
All right. Hold on. This is a cranky room. Hey, speaking of which,
it's a cranky room.
Speaking of which, somebody in here wrote a line from a song in a book the other day, and it's the same. It's the same using a line from a song in a book. So I didn't really go into it, but I think we should probably remove that from there. So go on. So okay, Julie.
Can I just change the topic right now?
Yeah, give us a tip that is good. Give us a good tip that we can
good.
duplicate. No, I don't. I want a good tip for my brand, my message, my storytelling. I want a real tip. What do you got?
Oh my God. Now the pressure's on because I'm so caught up in my music video that I was watching before I jumped on the mic. But I think the tip is to like surround yourself with people like Dom and Tom, John, Dr. Tachi, Dragon, Debbie, Leslie. And, you know, like this topic really caught my eye because Dragon is hosting an amazing event tonight with someone who I didn't realize was doing such good in the world. I don't know if you know Jim Quick, if I may be so forward, like Jim Quick is Dragon's best friend. Best-selling author, and he is donating all the profits to his book to charity. Especially the biggest one that I heard yesterday when we talked, Dragon, was for Alzheimer's, right? That was a big one because did he say his mother had Alzheimer's?
His grandmother.
His grandmother. So, I mean, huge stuff. If you guys want to attend, it's free live Q&A, and I'm not trying to be pitchy or anything, but it's just really for the greater good of people around the world. His book Limitless, but you can actually get on stage and ask him questions. It's going to be amazing, but I'll let Dragon talk more about that. But doing things like that, like blow my mind when you're giving all your profits away, when you're like a big name like Jim Quick, that's great for branding, but you're also leaving a legacy and leaving your mark on the world. So I'm going to go and listen to Vanilla Ice and I'll let you guys chat.
All right. You listen to Vanilla. Get yourself pumped. Okay. You at least changed the vibe until the fight started. So I appreciate you. Okay. Dr. Tachi, business tip, branding tip, podcasting tip, I said something good. Funny. Tom used to have a podcast called Tell Me Something Good. Was that the name of it, Tom?
It was just something good. Good. It's still there. It's still available. I have a couple of episodes in the bank. I've I got too many balls in the air sometimes. Like I'm not, I try to be a good juggler, but I can only handle about a dozen balls at a time. Yeah. And so it's been sitting on a shelf for a little bit, but it'll be back one of these days, I swear.
Somebody asked me yesterday to do something with them, and it was another show, and I just couldn't do it. And it was I love this person, but I couldn't do it. I don't have enough time to give it my all, and that's what I felt bad about. I felt bad about saying no, but I don't have the time. So, all right, so let's move on to Dr. Tachi. Give us a tip, Dr. Tachi. No singing Vanilla Ice. I know he's your favorite. So go on, Dr. Tachi.
I'll try to squash the urge to do that. So I was thinking about, do you want a tip or can I give a person that kind of does well with their platform? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. Either one, because we can copy. Good.
Okay. So there's a broadcaster, live streamer that I know. His name is Dr. Vibe. He used to be on Clubhouse quite a bit, but he hasn't been here in a long time. And he's a Canadian podcaster, broadcaster, live streamer out of Toronto. And the thing that I really like about him is he gives a platform to give people shine in, regardless of what they do, but especially people that would not ordinarily get shine in traditional media. And again, because he's in Canada, the focus is Canadians, particularly Black Canadians. But of course, he has a lot of guests on the show that are Americans. And one thing that I like to do is, because he has like several different shows throughout the week, and somebody may come to me and ask if they could be on Mediascope or something. And I have to tell them, well, I'm really specifically media tech and pop culture, but I know someone that it could possibly be a connection or a match, and I'll point them to Dr. Vibe. And because I won't send him rubbish, but almost always he's able to find a way to get them on the show to highlight the things that they're doing. And his thing is always, how can I help you? Like if he asked me to come on the show for something, he'll ask it as a favor. I'm like, I love coming on the show. So it's never like a huge thing for me. But then he's like, okay, how can I help you? And so when people have that type of attitude on a personal level, you know that they're usually also doing good things on a macro level as well. So if you have a chance, check him out. It's the Dr. Vibe Show on Instagram and all platforms. But he broadcasts almost every day on YouTube. So that's who I'd like to highlight.
I like it, Dr. Tachi. Dr. Vibe and Dr. Tachi. Okay. Good stuff. Okay, we will continue. Dragon, a person or a tip? Go on. Dr. Tachi, you got us going down a good path. Go on. What do you got, Dragon?
What exactly? Because I've heard so many amazing things. You're looking for a tip in what context?
Well, so this is not the smartest guys in the room, and we got a little microphone there. We got a little video there, and we got a little book. So we were really talking about, okay, so I said, are there people doing good? Are there people that you admire? Right. But it didn't have to be a nonprofit thing. It could be, or it could be that, like, hey, this guy's consistent making videos, and he asked how you can help. Like that, like Tom signs on his email, here to help, okay. Maybe I should add something. And I saw his legendary book in his email. That's like, I got 20 books, or, why don't I put one of those books in an email? Basic. Come on. What do you got for us? How's that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hearing so many opportunities in there, and
we like you, man. You got carte blanche around here. Come on, man.
My goal is to refrain from pontificating. So the only thing that I would say is, I think it's a really important time, not just growth focused, to step outside of the box, even in the realm of doing good in humanity. I mean, Julie gave a great example of something that I know Jim does authentically, is, gives, the proceeds to a charity, and it's truly something that he does. But at the same time, you can see how it actually very successfully builds his brand, so what's interesting about all these concepts is just the idea of intention behind them. And the more authentic and altruistic the intention, the more powerful it is. And what I mean by that is there's so many great ideas that everybody's using here. But I would focus more on to what degree you're doing it for good versus using it as a strategy. That's the space that I like to play with, because if the energy and focus truly is more on the side of hooking people up, detached from an outcome, you're going to get a lot. Ironically, you're going to receive a lot more. It's the law of give and receive. So, it's kind of, I guess, to just close it out, I would say, check yourself before you wreck yourself, because this is all powerful, powerful stuff. So what I do is I shift my mind when I'm doing a potential strategy of sorts. But when I go out there to do good for others, I really, really try to detach from the outcome and just focus on the task and what it means for the person. It's impossible to not identify and recognize how it would potentially help me, but I just put more focus on that. And the irony behind that is that it ends up becoming a great, brand and signature. Like when Tom, by the way, I was thinking, Tom, you would be a great person if you're interested. Here's a perfect example. Like, let's say Tom was a Jim Quick fan, and Tom said, "Hey, I'd love to ask Jim Quick a question," you know, but in the back of his mind, he would recognize that he would get exposure and get the ability to have a video of him. You know what I'm saying? So there's an example of that energy field. I don't know if that's too heavy for you guys, but it's the holiday season, and I would, just looking at this room, I would say that most people out there that are not privy to groups like this and hearing you guys speak are lost, confused, paralyzed. So if we get into the spirit of really, really wanting to help other people, it's just a massive win-win for us and for the world.
Rising tide lifts all boats, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's the idea, I think. Right, Dom?
Yeah,
Are you a rising tide, Mr. Motivation Champs?
yeah. That's was that Robert Kennedy or JFK? I think Robert Kennedy gets credit for it sometimes, but I think that's JFK.
You know, Dom, I'll share my perception of you in that sense. And Julie's the same way, and Tom, you're the same way. I don't know you, and John, same thing. You guys give a lot more than I see you take, right? So in my book, that makes me like all for you getting. You know what I'm saying? Like and that makes me want to support people and stuff like that. So that's a great example. This room's a great example. You guys come here every single week and you do this, and I'm kind of like a fan of it now, but it's way, way heavier on the giving than the receiving.
Right on, man. And so I this is like true to life, and like with I hope I'm living that way, you know. And if you do enough things right, you give enough back, that maybe enough comes back for you to eat, then maybe enough comes back for you to make your children smile, and then maybe enough comes back. Yeah, but just give. Why, Dragon? What really depresses me, and you nailed it here. So many people want to give, but there's already an expectation when they're giving, especially like in the nonprofit world. Like they want to give, but they're going to post 50 pictures and tell 100 people about it in advance before they give. And it's so obvious when you see it, like, oh, I'm going to start selling X and I'm going to sell X and give 1% back to the charity. Oh, come on. You know, it's so obvious what's going on. You know what I mean? So let me ride the wave of the pink, and then people will like my product, and I'm only going to give them half of what came in. Come on. So I hear you, man. So thanks for the wise words. Go on, Tom.
That just made me think of this, Dom. And I think it's such a great turn of phrase. This friend of mine, Will Gadara, who I've mentioned in here before, he's quoted in my book. He wrote a book called Unreasonable Hospitality, which I highly recommend. If you haven't read it, go check it out. It's a fantastic book. He and I have known each other for a very long time. We went to high school together, and he started putting out a newsletter around this idea of unreasonable hospitality. And he's been doing a video series on it and just sharing stories of unreasonable hospitality sort of out in the world. And in one of the recent editions of the newsletter, the sort of like byline of the newsletter was, a gift has to be a gift, not an ask. Right. And in order for it to work, and this goes back to like all the times that I've talked about the rule of reciprocation, right? As social psychologists call it, a lot of people, know it as reciprocity in sales, but the idea is that you have to give a gift without strings attached, right? A gift has to be a gift. It can't be an ask, right? It's an incredibly important sort of message, and something that people need to learn and focus on more, that you really, when you give a gift, you have to be willing to not get anything back, right? Now, most times that's not what's going to happen, right? Most times when you give a gift, you will receive something in return. It can be a variety of things. It'll be gratitude, right? It could be a gift in a different gift in kind, right? It could be something down the road, right? But you have to be willing to not receive anything, right? You have to be willing to just give. But I believe, and this has been borne out over time. I wouldn't even know where to start with giving you examples of how this actually really works. That's not true. I could probably think of some, but anyway, because we know me. But yeah, you have to just be willing to give the gift and leave it at that, right? You have to, and that's one of the reasons why I think Dom and I both believe that, and that's why we're here every Wednesday, with you guys, with this amazing community that has sort of grown over the last few years that we've been doing this, is because both of us show up on Wednesday mornings. To date, we have made exactly $0 off of doing this weekly live stream with you guys for 2 years, right? We've given, an hour and a half to 2 hours of our week every week for the last couple of years, with no expectation of return, right? Just because we wanted to help, and we wanted to provide a forum to be able to answer people's questions and help them find the answers that they needed, right? And that was the impetus behind all of this. So I think you have to be willing to give, and just leave it at that, right? That's it. You have to be willing to give with no expectation. A gift has to be a gift, not an ask. So I'll throw it back to you there, Dom.
Right on, Tom. Good job, man. That's all I got to say. Good job. Not the smartest guys in the room. Every Wednesday, you heard it. I don't know if we should tell people that it's been 2 years and we never made any dollar. It's true. We never set out. Like, people were asked sometimes, "Hey, we did just get it, Jason. We did get an Instagram page. We have about 4 videos on. Not the smartest guys in the room. We put 4 posts, so we're officially in 2 places now. We're in a lot of places, but okay. Debbie Griffiths, my dear friend, we went out to breakfast one day. We stood by a big elephant. She was just out in Pennsylvania, but she's from Santo Rancho. What a name, Santo Rancho Margarita. I think that's the name of the town. But Debbie, somebody making an impact, doing good, not like somebody or like a tip. That's what we're looking for today. You got it?
I got it. And it's actually Rancho Santa Margarita is where I live.
Rancho Santo Margarita. What a name. That's where we should all go.
It is the longest named city for the post office. So go figure. I did not know that. Tips. I'm not sure I'm have really a tip. I just kind of want to follow up on something that I think Brian and John alluded to or stated earlier about, I wish more people who did good could get not necessarily recognized, but at least, talked about in a little local newspaper article or the little media. We need to know what's out there. I think there's so many people that want to do something, but maybe they're homebound or there's other things going on where they're looking for ideas of they want to give back, but they don't know how. And I think just showcasing some of the positive things that go on in our communities is a great way to to start. And I think if we started focusing on the positive rather than all the negative that we see in our media, that maybe that could turn our world in a better place. So, and I also want to give a shout out to everybody in this room. I know I come back and I come back and I come back because I'm always learning. You guys give so many little tips, and I'm a sponge and I'm taking it all in. So every week you guys give back. So my hat's off to you, and I thank you, and I'm going to land my plane there. Thanks.
I think John J. Wiley should. I mean, I think Debbie, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think this would be a great place where John J. Wiley could give a great tip about media.
Yeah, really quick tip is make sure you know what the format of the show is that you're contacting. Uh, Being an expert, I say this all the time, experts are in 2 places. They're in court and they're in lecture halls, and no one goes there voluntarily to either one. Tell your story. Have people fall in love with you, your story, and they will follow you anywhere. That is far more important than what you know. It's far more important than what you wrote. And then at the end, you can promote stuff you do. I have people contact me every day. They want to sell, sell, sell. I'm an expert in this. I do this. I sell software. I do with it. I wrote a book. Look, I hate to say it. No one cares about your book. They care about you and your story. And from that, you will increase the sales of your book. You'll become more in demand. But if you don't give people a reason to fall in love with you, they won't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, John. I think, at the end of the day, you have to get people to give a crap about you before they'll give a crap about anything you do or make or sell, right? So they have to care about you first before they'll care about what you make or sell. So you have to share yourself and put yourself out there. I 100% agree. I wanted to go back to Debbie real quick. Debbie, so I want to, you were talking about. And I don't disagree. I think I think a lot of people get frustrated with sort of emphasis on negative things rather than emphasis on positive things. But I just want to push a little bit because I think that it's an opportunity. That frustration actually creates an opportunity. So I want to push a little bit, and I just want to ask you a question. What's something you can do? You're frustrated about this, right? What's something you can do to move the needle of the conversation? What's something you can do to push things in a more positive direction to get people to pay more attention to the positive rather than the negative? What's one thing that you can do?
Well, personally, with what I am involved with raising awareness on gaslighting and domestic abuse, I can continue to talk about it and find ways, to help victims and survivors, and educate. My big thing is educating so that people don't get into these situations. I think it there's so many ways. I mean, it's getting involved and looking at what people are doing on social media, like Clubhouse. Every now and then you'll see that good little tidbit on the news. There's there's so many ways you can learn and expand your own bandwidth, basically, to find avenues that where you can find and get out there and try it. I've done work at food banks, and just trying different things. Don't be afraid to try different things, because you meet other people, and then that opens up your horizons for other things. So I hope that helps.
Absolutely. I love that. So there you go. There's your tip for us, Debbie, right? Don't be afraid to try things because you never know what'll help, right? What'll make a difference. So I appreciate that. I knew you had a tip for us. So I'm glad I pushed a little bit. I wanted to hear a little bit more from you because I knew you had a tip for us. I knew you had it in you. So thanks for sharing that.
Hey, and I got to say, I know Debbie well. She is out there doing it. And here was somebody 2 years ago that wasn't sharing her story. To John's point, 2 years ago, she wasn't sharing her story. Now she is. Now she's helping other people. And what was the, Debbie, what was the award that when they named it National Your Community Domestic Awareness Month, and what did they give you in honor?
The city proclaimed the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I've gone to the city 2 years now in a row, and they were very accommodating and more than happy to to issue that proclamation. So I just received it, on behalf of my organization, trying to raise that awareness. But it's very easy to do, to go to your city council, and ask them to have proclamations. So if anybody wants to know, ask me. I can help you.
Oh, isn't that something? No, good job, Debbie. And I sit here. Am I getting soft? I sit here almost in tears when I hear Debbie talk about that, because that's like full circle and help using her voice to help other people. Somebody else finds out about it. Maybe now they know they don't have to go back to that abusive husband, and there's help is there. Somebody else made it out. Get your kids out of there. So I'd say that's pretty special stuff. So thank you, Debbie. You rock. All right, we're moving on now. Plug is an official plug for this. What do you got, Tom? Go on.
I was gonna ask you what you're doing on Saturday. Is that what you want to talk
Very
about? What are you
good.
doing on
Good.
Saturday?
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
Saturday, Creative Con Masterclass. So completely immersive networking. You want to network with doers, movers, shakers in podcasting, publishing, promotions, public speaking. You have to get out and speak to your community like Debbie's doing. You have a message and you've never been a guest on a podcast before. Well, podcast experts are going to tell you how to shorten your message, how to be more direct, how to ask them to be on the show. You maybe want to write a book. We're going to have Rhonda Penders talking about publishing from the Wild Rose Press. And this is all free on Saturday. So you can get in there above and sign up free. And we're having another event in February in Chicago, but this one Saturday, free event. We just want you to network with experts. Really, there's going to be breakout rooms after the experts talk. It's not just going to be us talking at you for hours. There's going to be breakout rooms where you're going to be able to network with movers and shakers and people writing books like Mr. Brian P. Swift over there. So come and I'll be there. I'll be in a breakout room sharing some tips, maybe some motivation. Julie, did I hit everything, or what else do I need to say about it?
No, I'm so proud of you. And it's our way too of just giving back and sharing the wealth that has kind of helped us along the way as well. And I mean, like, to meet you guys, to learn about you, I see the biggest gold is building relationships. And if we don't take that opportunity to build relationships, then we kind of get lost, I believe, in our creativity in our businesses. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
I love that. Debbie said she's going to be there on Saturday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be there on Saturday.
You have to run another marathon, Tom, or what?
It's too cold for that.
Yeah, I'm running a marathon.
We're kind of jealous.
I'm a special kind of crazy, and I'm running a marathon down in Rehoboth, in Delaware. So while you guys are drinking a warm beverage and spending time with a bunch of amazing people, I'm going to be working my tail off to try to hit my goal of running a 3 hour and 15-minute marathon. So we'll see how close to that I can get. But yeah, I did put something together. I'm sad I'm not going to be there on Saturday, but I did put something together for everybody that's going to be there. So you'll get to have to sit through a few minutes of me talking to you virtually via video. But hopefully you'll find some value in it. Tell you the story of how Benjamin Franklin helped Red Bull get their wings. So there's a little tease for you. If you're curious about how that worked, come to the masterclass on Saturday. I'll tell you all about it.
Good stuff. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for letting me do that. Cram that plug right in there. Yeah, did good. Hope it wasn't too much. Not the smartest guys in the room. Okay, Leslie, somebody you admire out there making an impact that you're like business wise. Like I was thinking, Gary Vee makes a ton of content. He's an inspiring dude, and then he's out doing those garage sale. Like he likes going to garage sales, and he makes I don't know if you've ever seen these. He's doing basically the same thing, but he goes to garage sales. That's one of the things he likes to do. And then he shares a story like that and talks to the little kids and teaches them how to, like, they'll be like, oh, he'll be like, how much you want for that? They'll be like $10. He's like, you sure you want $10? They'll be like, $2. And he's like, you don't have to lower your price like that. So anyway, that's somebody that I think's doing cool stuff. Leslie, what do you got?
Wow. So, okay, I'm going to just give you my little story in 30 seconds. I grew up in a family that did a lot of philanthropic work. My family has been given back to the community in a sense that I just wrote down. Giving back, working with people that are in transition, coming out from prison to society and acclimating and adjusting. And there is a group of us that started a pilot program because we all have a story. And our story is very similar to people that maybe just, walked the wrong track and ended up in a situation where it wasn't good. But you know what? We're all human and we all have a heart. And I think through everything we've all been through, we have learned to just unveil and just show who we truly are. And it's people like us, all just collaborating and connecting. So at the end of the day, my share is start getting the younger generation involved with nonprofit, getting involved with community work. Go to the soup kitchens. My kids started going to the Animal Rescue League at 6 years old to walk dogs. It's gratifying, and it's like releasing those endorphins. I guess as a practitioner with my background, I'm always speaking into that. But it's that feel good energy, and that actually makes a little tip of the day. Give back, you feel good, you connect with amazing people. And through all my unbelievable connections, I'm finding this group that are wanting to be on my podcast. We're connecting and we're doing and giving back to communities all over. So just sending love, and thanks for letting me share my little story.
Hey, I love it. Good stuff. And your point about getting the youth involved too is such a powerful idea. So many people think in the nonprofit world and kindness world that it's all about money and you have to donate thousands. And if you're capable, man, that's great. But you could give your time, you could give a hand, you could give a smile. So many other important things like walking the dog. So thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. All right. So, okay, we got Jason. Where you been, Jason? I was looking for you on Clubhouse like 2 days in a row. I was looking for Jason rooms. I went on Clubhouse and it was like you weren't there at your usual time. Is that true, or am I thinking something wrong?
What I've been doing is reinvesting in myself. I had to tune the world out for a while. For at least since Thanksgiving to now. My activity is more like what I get in returns. It's kind of really touching on what you talk about, why you guys give. I don't think you guys give. I think you're just sharing. There's a difference between giving and sharing. Sharing means you're creating an atmosphere, look like this one, like Clubhouse, and people come to your table and we all got something. It's like a potluck. Everyone's got something to share, to enjoy. Everyone has a different bite. So giving to me, it's already been touched on. Like, I look for no returns, exactly, for no returns. Every single year for a long time with my 16-year-old, we used to get Christmas cards and a small candy cane. And on Christmas Eve, we would go to random spots. We would find a convenience store worker who had to work Christmas Eve. We'd find a cop who's sitting stationary in his patrol vehicle. We went to hospitals where we would give to a doctor, nurses, and LVNs. We would give this Christmas card to say thank you for your service. We looked for no return. And every encounter for a long time, we always saw a pause. And I remember one particular police officer asked, "Why do you do this?" And I said, "Because I'm sharing the bounty of my table, and I'm teaching my daughter that also we get nowhere without sharing." And, everyone is self-interest. We're not self-made, but we're community built. That's my life quote. I should put a tattoo on me, but I always remember that. And how I got there is because I started out very selfish. I started out with the background that why don't people give to me? My parents, I could give you the sad story, but through my years, 51 years on this earth, I learned that if I share with no expectation and I take a bite from each and everybody's plate, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's just not filling or not satisfying. But then there's other times where, I come to Not the Smartest Guys. I've been here for pretty much almost a year. But I come to share at this table, and I don't give, I don't just give. I share. So there's my persona is different from the way that what other people are sharing right now, but I look at it just as share, and I'm not giving, because when I give, I don't even remember most of the time when I gave. I just do it without thinking about it, because that enough trauma told me, you know what, for the silent voices who always wanted to get, like me at one time, how do I get to that point of being fulfilled, or find the point where, a lot of people, they've been hurt in their lives. They go and get being activists in movements, how to the anti-hurt movement. It's really what it is. They get into self-development. They get into self-help. They want to help. They want to coach. They want to fill in the gap that a gap or a hole is created. But the best way to is come to a table where you share, but you're giving or you're receiving all at once. So I'm a different persona, maybe what's being delivered today, but I believe I'm not giving, I'm just sharing. So thank you for your table.
Hey, well, we accept, brother, and I was looking, so you know that multiple times. I'm like, when I go on Clubhouse and look for live rooms, Jason's is one I find entertaining. So during the day, I'm usually on from about 10 to 5 in between calls or something like that. I can jump on for a half hour. I see him, I jump in. So, all right, stay the course. I need more live rooms during the day on Clubhouse. Don't give up on it. It's a good place. Hey, me and Julie the other day used another social networking platform, social audio platform. We did it twice, and it was good. It was from one of the big guys, and I enjoyed it on there too. I don't think it's as user friendly as this, although this app was more user. Who thinks this app was more user friendly 2 months ago? I just want to know. User friendly. That's all. Phil. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, they could do what they want, so I'm not here to say that. But as a user, I think it is harder to use. So that's me. All right. Anyway, sidebar. Tom's like, "What's going on here?" All right, Phil, man, what do you got going on today?
No,
Hold on.
I was going to say I almost went back to Milton Friedman. It's a good thing you. I was slow on the draw because you almost got me back on Milton Friedman. But
Sorry,
I'll let you. I'm curious to hear what Phil has to say and meet Phil. So let's go to Phil.
But Dr. Tachi might want more Milton Friedman. She was. I got to look up what Milton. I'm looking up what Milton Friedman looks like. Okay, you don't want more Milton Friedman.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I'm not a Milton Friedman fanboy. I think his economic theories are trash, and they're a lot of the reason why things are the way they are right now, in terms of sort of the way business is done and wealth inequality and all kinds of things that are not good in society right now. It's kind of a result of Milton Friedman's theories. So just to be clear, I'm not a fan.
Okay, I'm going to a bio on this guy. Hold on. American Economist. Never mind. Making me to a YouTube video. Okay, we have more important things to do. We got to get to Phil. So Phil, we're looking for tips today, or somebody that you see doing things and you're like, whoa, that, like Dr. Tachi mentioned Dr. Vibe. I just mentioned Gary V. We talked about Mr. Beast, or maybe there's a tip where Leslie said, if you're in nonprofit work, maybe you can get the youth involved. So what do you got for us, Phil?
Good morning, everyone. Hey, Dominic, thank you guys for just allowing me up on the stage this late in the game. I just came in from my night job where I work in a hospital, but it's pretty awesome to see you guys from sunny, chilly Wisconsin this morning. Um, you know what? It's about encouraging each other, and besides my content creation and so forth around safety and security, as I shared with some of you all, and it's really clicking in really good with this group, that I work overnights in a hospital, keeping public safety of a hospital where we see every kind of case come through the emergency room and then into our deeper departments for people there that are at some of the most difficult points in their life, sometimes physically, but especially um, mental health, drug addiction, overdosing, and everything. And I see it in real time here in the Milwaukee area every night. So we try to encourage each other, my teammates that are charged with, we got to keep that place safe, and everyone, as well as the patients. And it's tough to keep the morale up sometimes. So we've been having a running kind of tag about how at 2, 3 in the morning can we get a hot Krispy Kreme donut, or how can we get a hot DoubleTree cookie? And I've been inspired, just encouraged. I tried it the other night and I goofed around and tried to make too many DoubleTree cookies at one time, and I messed the recipe up, you guys. But tonight, I have a day off while my teammates are working and the rest of the staff at the hospital are working, and I'm going to try to bring them some encouragement with some fresh DoubleTree cookies made by me, or I'm going to go to the nearest Krispy Kreme and and get something and walk in the door and make sure that they know that they're loved and that they are appreciated for what they do for some that are at the difficult points in their life. And encouragement comes from so many of you guys in this room who are, talk and share about these very topics. And that's what I want to do today, especially this time of year.
Phil,
Wow.
absolutely love. Go on, Jolie. You gave him a heart. So,
Oh, I was just gonna say, wow, like Phil is like the real deal. Like seriously, Dom. I mean, can't you just hear it in his voice?
yeah, as soon as he's talking, I'm really like looking for more places to follow Phil because I'm like, I
Phil
need,
knows. Phil
yeah,
knows.
Phil knows.
You don't want to follow me to Wisconsin today, Dom. It's 13 degrees.
Oh
Hey,
man.
I talked about, I spent a lot of years, like I was working insurance and we used to go out to Wisconsin once a month for a year. And so sometimes we'd be in West Stevens Point, Phil. And
Familiar.
so, yeah, I did a lot of drinking. Now I heard at one point it was most bars per capita, but that's another, another story. But anyway, it was so cold sometimes when you walked outside and tell me if I'm lying, Phil, that I may have my mouth open a lot in life, that if you went outside with your mouth open, that your tongue would actually start to swell up because it'd be like -17 and that was the temperature. And then it was like another crazy wind chill on top of the -17. Am I lying, Phil?
You're exactly right. Up in the middle part of the state like that, you could easily get a -17, -20 temperature, and then you double that for the wind chill. Anything exposed within seconds could be dangerous. That's when you go inside and drink a lot.
See,
Hey, Dominic, before I go, I signed up for the master class on December 2nd, and I'm just going to be happy to be in the spot to get, I believe, a taste of Chicago. So this is
yeah, double
great.
booyah, man.
Yeah.
That's a double booyah. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate that, and thanks for the positive vibes, man. Why can't we lift some people up? So many of us are going through so many tough things. How about take some cookies in, virtual cookies, a smile, whatever it is. The other day I was out getting bread for an organization, me and a buddy getting bread, and like I don't do it much. So this is a day I'm out getting bread, like usually somebody else does it. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, man, all these years these volunteers have been getting this bread and I never knew how much bread they were getting. There were 6 grocery carts. It was cold. It was like raining but me and this guy laughed the whole time. We had so much fun, Phil, because even though dude, it was 6 carts of bread that we were taking somewhere, but it was that he was encouraging me and we just had an absolute blast, even though we were stowing fingers and getting muddy and everything like that. So keep doing the good work, man. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can I just say thank you to Trisha? She signed up for the masterclass.
Trisha, well, we're going to Trisha right now. Trisha, thank you for signing the masterclass. Okay, let's see what Trisha's picture is. This looks like I don't know what it is. It almost looks like a championship parade, but I don't want to. So who's on? Somebody's got a big fishing net. What do we got going on here, Trisha? What's in the picture?
Oh, that's the boxing champion Terrence Crawford. He's from our city and state, Omaha, Nebraska, and I just have had that on my profile picture since he have won his championship.
Boy, that was a great fight. He manhandled that other guy.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yep, that's him in real life. But yep, I'm Trisha, the owner of Paris Party and Spa, where we empower and beautify our youth one style at a time. And a tip that I can leave is if you dream it, think of it, just start creating, you never know when you're going to need to pull those tools out of your bag, like Dora, the explorer, carry around her. You never know when you're going to need those tips. So just start creating, and people that want to join the ship will come along.
Right on, Trish. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm looking at a child of God. I am Patricia, the
And
business.
yes, I did. I did sign up for the master class.
Yeah.
Want to see what kind of tips I can take away
Well,
from the
then
master class.
you get a booyah too, and you're going to get to network and meet with some cool people. Hey, No, sidebar. I don't know if I told you that I got too many sidebars. That I started becoming field hockey announcer for my daughter's high school field hockey team this year, and so like they weren't the best team, so but
Oh, it's the memories.
when they scored, I would yell "Booyah!" and "Me gusta goal," and I would write all these things down and have these "Ay caramba," and most of them were '90s references. So Julie, you would have appreciated that. Next year, I'm going to pull out an Ice Ice Baby.
And none of those kids got the references either,
No,
right?
none of them.
Yeah, not at all.
No, because at one point, I said something like that, and they thought it was a nickname for the girl that had scored, and it was like some '90s reference. Oh, it was Shakatocious. So she scored. I yelled Shakatocious, and the people on the team thought that the girl's name is Jory Tang, and they thought that Shakatocious was her nickname.
That reference is so last century.
Hey
Mr.
man,
Domasky.
that's what you get when
Like
when you
Milton
get
Friedman, you mean?
yeah.
The
Oh,
1900s called. They want their references backed up.
no. Well, I'm going all Taylor Swift next season, and then I'll be twice as popular.
That's the one thing I've gotten while you're getting out the show and tell. I just wanted to say this. I think that's what you were reaching for, if I'm guessing right.
Yep,
But
yep.
the I've gotten a few times like the one thing, because I don't feel old. I'm like mentally I'm not 45. I'm 45 in in the real world, but mentally I'm like 25 still. But I get the one thing that I heard a kid say that really made me feel old was oh my God, you were born in the 1900s. And I was like, wait. And then I was like, yeah, I guess. Yes, I was born in the 1900s. And yeah, it made me feel real old for like a split second, and then I was like, I could probably still run circles around you. It's fine.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's why I keep lifting weights because my daughter has a boyfriend, and my son's about 18. He's going to be 18, and he thinks he's tough. My daughter's a little younger and dates a big, tall kid. So I'm thinking if I can, as long as I can think I'm lifting more weights than them, I'll be all right, even though I'm old and slow. Okay.
There you go.
Now we are going to, it's that time for anybody on the live stream. If you're not on the live stream, you got to find it somewhere. Watch a replay, something. We're doing show and tell, and then Tom's taking us home with a beautiful wrap up, putting a tidy little bow on things. So I remember, seventh grade, I loved basketball, loved Michael Jordan. I wore Air Jordan shoes, whole Air Jordan costumes. I was as goofy as can be, just complete big Air Jordan hats, things like that. I thought I was the greatest basketball player of all time. Go out for the team, seventh grade, get cut. Absolutely devastated, right? Here I'm thinking I'm going to be like the all-time leading scorer of everything. Get cut from the team. Absolutely crushes me. From that point forward, I probably fell in love with basketball even more and end up like every year just keep playing. I rode the bench so long, but then ended up getting recruited by colleges and playing D3 basketball. But the year after I get cut, this is what I want to show you. The next year, so the first year I get cut, next year I go back out for the team again. This is my Wendover Warriors letter. Well, letter with a basketball on it. It's got one letter, one little thing on it. That's the Wendover Warriors letter. So they cut me one year. I went to the YMCA all the time, went to the camps. From that point forward, the rest of my life, it still drives me today, the pain of getting cut, and knowing that you're going to get knocked down, you're going to get hit, you're going to get beat, you're going to lose. But if you put in the effort, if you don't give up, maybe next year you get yourself a letter like I got from the Wendover Warriors. And we were good too. We were like 15-1 or something. But now in the goofy story, we were like 15-1, one of the biggest games of the year. I would always show off, and there's like 8 seconds left on the clock, and I went in and tried to do some double pump, like weird looking shot. Man, the coach was mad at me. But then my friend made the game winning shot like a play later, and we still talk about it like 30 years later. So Wendover, wear your leather. Don't give up. Tom, that's all I got for you today.
Can I interrupt for a second, guys?
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
This is a call to action to every single person other than the hosts. Go into YouTube right now. Go to Not the Smartest Guys on YouTube. Go and like their live post so they can get more views and more activity on their YouTube besides Clubhouse. So even though we're all in here right now, go right now. If you haven't subscribed to them, this is a call to action. Go and like or put a comment in their live chat so it can be recorded and help them boost what they talk about, because their table is always great to come back and share. And I'm sure more people could share and enjoy also that are not on Clubhouse. So let's give them that support. I'm calling it out right now. So if you have a moment, you got your phone, you got your tablet, your desktop, go into YouTube, find Not the Smartest Guys, go like and share on your social media right now as we speak. That way they get a head start in the morning. So by the end of the day, they're going to get brand new views. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, brother. We appreciate you, man. And like we say Jason's direct as can be. Love it, man. He is himself. So thank you for the support. We appreciate you. Tom appreciates you. That was my show and tell. Tom, I'm done talking. It's time for a wrap up. What do you got? And don't you dare pull out that guy again.
All right, so I want to talk about Milton Friedman. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I promise. I'm not going to talk about Milton Friedman. But I am going to talk about kind of where we started today. Just sort of bringing things around full circle. I was thinking about this idea of making change in the world, right? Because that's one of the things we started talking about was like, who's making a difference, who's doing good, who's making change in the world, right? Who's having a positive impact, and how can we take inspiration from that? And one of the things that I think everybody who we see doing good in the world, whether it's people like Mr. Beast or Gary Vee, or it's companies like Cotopaxi or Bombas Socks, the thing that they all have in common is they all started out with a series of unreasonable, ridiculous goals, right? And innovated on their way towards accomplishing those goals, right? Now, whether or not they actually ever fully accomplish those goals is kind of immaterial. It sort of doesn't matter. What matters is that by setting ridiculous, unreasonable goals that you will likely never fully accomplish or fully realize, what you do is you drive innovation and you force yourself to come up with creative ways to solve problems. And that's what moves things forward. So I'm going to keep it very short this week. I just want to encourage everyone in your life, if there is something that you want to see changed, no matter how unreasonable it sounds, unreasonable for you as an individual to be able to make the change that you're after, right? Like my vision is to humanize the world of business through better communication, right? That's what I'm trying to do every day with my company, with my business, Talex Media. I am never ever going to fully realize that goal, but setting that goal, visualizing that goal, setting that vision for my business is what drove me to come up with my solution or my solve, right? My strategy, Legendeering, right? Which led me to write a book, which is going to lead to more change in the world than I ever would have accomplished if I had just said, that's too big a goal, that's unreasonable, I'll never be able to get there, right? So please embrace ridiculous, unreasonable goals and innovate on your way to solving those problems so that we can all make some positive change in the world around us. And that's all I got for this week. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. We love you guys. You are the best. You are the reason that Dom and I show up here every week to do Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, because we hope to always be surrounding ourselves with people smarter than us. We don't want to be the smartest guys in the room. We shouldn't be the smartest guys in the room. I mean, I'll speak for myself. Look at me. I'm a knucklehead. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I'm glad to see, I hope to see all of you on Saturday virtually. Wish me well in the marathon. I know Dom is looking forward to seeing you guys on Saturday, and we will talk to you guys next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of the week. Love you. Thanks. Bye-bye.